I ask him to guide my words. I mean, this is a very serious issue that we're dealing with. Well, as I thought about this day, because we've been celebrating this day, or acknowledging, I wouldn't even say celebrating, acknowledging this day each year. And I don't see Celeste Taylor. She's been one of the people that has been leading the charge about the National Day of accountability and awareness on police brutality. But I thought about something that they say, where they say if you keep doing the same thing over and over again and expect a different result, that's the definition of insanity. And so we have these days and we bring people together and we talk about police brutality. We talk about the racism that we see from the police department, the classism that we see from the police department, but then we'll be right back here next year and then there'll be more cases of police brutality, especially when we see what's happening with these occupations that's going on all across the country. Obviously, we need to change the way we deal and interact with the police department as a whole. Because if we do not change that, then we're going to continue having the same result, which is disrespect. So in the Final Call newspaper, she had mentioned that I'm a student minister with the Nation of Islam. On the back, it asked the question, what do the Muslims want? And one of the things that the Muslims want is an end to police brutality and mob attacks, and wanting the federal government to intercede. We wanted the federal government to intercede in the case of Jordan Miles. And the federal government looked at it and said they chose not to intercede, even though it was an overwhelming amount of evidence that they should have interceded, and evidence that Jordan Miles would not get justice here in Pittsburgh. And so when the federal government decided not to get involved, right back on the job, right? With the year's worth of pay and overtime and awards from the city of Pittsburgh. So wouldn't that would make those officers see what they did was wrong and want to reform themselves? Not even a slap on the wrist. So when I saw, but it says if we don't get that, this is one of the things that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said. If we don't get an end to police brutality and mob attacks, then we want our own nation for ourselves. We want the ability to govern ourselves. Now, so what I'm seeing coming up with this Occupy movement, when you go to Occupy Pittsburgh, you really see a new community and a new way to interact with the system. See, if you're at the occupation and somebody takes something out of your tent, you can't go to the police department and say, excuse me, police officer, I'm here on the occupation. Somebody went into my tent. No, a new system and a way that we deal in police has to come up. So it's all about consensus building. It's all about individual accountability. And so I would say this to our community, specifically in our community, that we have to begin to deal in a new way. And we have to begin. If we really want justice, if we really want freedom, if we really want fair dealing, first we have to do it to one another. We have to be personally accountable as members of our own community, and we have to be willing to one another even if we have differences. Correct? All right. Now, once we come together in unity, then we have we have more respect. And then we have to begin to deal with the police a certain way, because the police always come to our community and say they want cooperation with us. But we never get cooperation in return. Well, would you say that's a fair deal? No. That's not a fair deal. So police department, if you want cooperation with us, then we have to get cooperation with you, but we have to be strong enough to demand a certain level of respect, and we have to be willing to make the sacrifice. See, sleeping outside in the cold and rain is a sacrifice. It's not a symbolic sacrifice, it's a real sacrifice. And so our community, we have to begin to make some real sacrifices, and we have to be willing to deal with one another in unity and say, first, self-cooperation. Then to say to the police department that if you want cooperation with us, we want justice for Jordan Miles, and we want justice for all those that have been victims of police brutality. And if we do that, then maybe next year on the 22nd, we'll have a different, maybe it'll be a celebration of our own little Pittsburgh that's peaceful, unified, and all of us together. So I thank you for listening, and I greet you in peace. Peace.